episode of Rest is Noise. We finally have Ali back. A little sick, but he's here. Welcome back, Ali. I hope
Thanks.
you have made sure the elections and things go smoothly.
See, I turned around the projections.
Yeah, you did. We keep saying that.
Liberals
Though,
are trending up.
yeah, that was all his impact. So today, what we're gonna talk about is honestly my favorite topic. That is economic corridors initiatives by China, and we're gonna talk about multiple other things as well. We're gonna talk a little bit about Elon Musk DOGE initiatives. We are gonna talk about Afghan refugees. We're gonna talk about Trump's tariffs on Canada and everybody else. I'm going to give a little bit background of why I find the Economic Corridor project very interesting is so I worked in Pakistani government I started working back in 2015 October, and in March 2015 the Chinese government issued its framework called Vision and Action on Jointly Building the Silk Road Economic Belt and 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. And this became a first step towards what we see right now with China, that there's something that I have witnessed myself, and I think all of you will agree as well, is that the way China wants to expand is completely different than the imperial system US had. So China's strength is economics. They invest on economics. They invest on logistics. They invest on energy sector. They invest in education sector. Um,
Correction. One correction. The system US had.
had yes. So and of course we're gonna talk about that too in the DOGE thing. So while the U.S. imperial system was mostly based on um, using aid to get people to fight from their side. So there's also a weaponry machinery. I don't want to generalize here because yes, U.S. had education initiative. There was an American Dream initiatives that took a lot of people in. There were a lot of immigrations happen, which again is not Chinese model, but we saw um, all of these things. So what China wanted to do is um, there are six international economic corridor, which comes under BRI, which is Belt and Road Initiative. And under this Belt and Road Initiative, the six economic corridors that comes in are the New Euro-Asia Land Bridge Economic Corridor, which started from the China's Liang, which is Jigsaw province, through Xinjiang to Rotterdam in Holland. Then the other one is China, Mongolia, and Russia Economic Corridor. Then we have China, Central Asia, West Asia Economic Corridor. Then we have China, Indo-China Peninsula Economic Corridor. We have China, Pakistan Economic Corridor. We have Bangladesh, China, India, Myanmar Economic Corridor. Now, what's interesting in all these is the only bilateral economic corridor it established was with Pakistan. Now, despite of this common belief that we have a very amazing friendship with China and they really like us, that's why it's happening.
It's
It,
geography.
it's the geography, yes. It's the strategic location that we have. And we start this like when they signed it in 2015, we started seeing them start about having about multiple zones. That multiple zones include different projects. There were three phases of the CPEC. The first is the longer phase, then we have a medium phase, and then we have the final phase. We have crossed both these phases, and today we are standing 10 years later, um, and talking about what CPEC did, what are the impacts, what is the conversation out there, and what do you guys have seen or felt that has an impact in Pakistan's economy. So let's start with you, Ali.
Sure. I think I just want to start with one thing. Like I agree that जियोग्राफी भी हमारी इम्पोर्टेंट है चाइना के लिहाज से स्पेशली फॉर चाइना और फिर जो चाइना का ऑन गोइंग कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कह लो या लिमिटेड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कह लो इंडिया के साथ उसमें भी हमारा इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है बट अदर देन दैट आई डू थिंक क्योंकि मेक्सिको के साथ तो जियोग्राफी नहीं ना मैटर करती ब्राजील के
Yes.
साथ तो नहीं ना करती सो आई डू थिंक चाइना चाइना हैज दैट ग्लोबल एम
Yes.
where they want them to be posed as like an alternate to US. So that's
Hmm.
their global initiative where they want to be as like a global power instead of just a regional thing. They do need to have friends. For example, UAE is not strategically geopolitically important for them. It's the same. They have good relations with Iran. They can use their seawater, right? So other than it's just like for me, it might be just a little bit undermining just to say, oh, Pakistan is getting everything because we are geopolitically very on like prime location or something. China has a very long lasting relationship with Pakistan. I think we
Yes.
have messed it up many, many, many times. Again now with like those I think हर साल 2 साल बाद हम सुनते हैं कि और इस इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर को दोबारा से शुरू किया जाएगा नई हाइट्स पे ले जाएगा तो अगर मैं भी चाइना की जगह होता तो शायद मैं भी अभी तक फ्रस्ट्रेट हो गया होता
Hmm.
बट चलो अब ये तो हमारी साइड की बात हो गई आई थिंक चाइना लव्स टू डू डेप्थ ड्रिवन डिप्लोमेसी
Hmm.
where they make you sign those contracts where for example सिंगल एजेंडा इकोनॉमी थी सारी चीजें वहां से आ रही हैं सारी लाइक लोकल इकॉन कोई आपकी इंडस्ट्री बिल्ड नहीं हो रही कोई आपको ट्रेड टेक ट्रांसफर नहीं हो रही same thing happened in Sri Lanka. Same thing happened in Kazakhstan. So I think they are very clear what they want to do. But मुझे शुरू में ये लगता था कि इसमें बहुत like keeping all of that in Pakistan. Infrastructure तो पाकिस्तान में बन रहा था ना.
Hmm.
मुझे शुरू में लगता था कि इसमें बड़ा स्कोप है. For example, if we just talk about that rail line,
Yeah.
which was part of corridor, जो कि I think 3-4 दफा जो प्रोजेक्ट एक्सटेंड हुआ और फिर एक्सटेंड करते करते उसकी कास्ट प्राइस इतनी बड़ी बन गई कि वो आज तक दोबारा से स्टार्ट भी नहीं हो सकी
Yep.
अगर एक एग्जांपल सिर्फ उसी को कंप्लीट कर दिया जाता मेरे ख्याल से क्योंकि हमने 1947 के बाद ट्रैक्स को कम ही किया किसी एक जगह पे भी बढ़ाया नहीं है तो आई थिंक रियलिटी चेक ये है कि वी आर नॉट वेरी गुड एट बिल्डिंग थिंग्स we're not very good at building infrastructure other than some motorways some roads we haven't done like any major infrastructure लास्ट डैम हमारा कब बना सबको पता है लास्ट मेजर हमने कॉरिडोर्स कब बनाए वी डोंट हैव वेरी गुड ट्रैक तो ये एक होप थी कि एटलीस्ट लाइक इवन इफ विद द डेप्थ ड्रिवन रिलेशनशिप अगर चाइना आता है कुछ बिल्ड करता है जैसे ग्वादर एयरपोर्ट है
Hmm.
पॉलिटिकल इश्यूज हैं उसके साथ जैसे हॉस्पिटल आ रहे हैं चाइना फ्रेंडशिप हॉस्पिटल ग्वादर में है अब मेडिकल सिटी बनने की बात हो रही है जैसे आपके सेफ सिटीज प्रोजेक्ट हैं सारे के सारा ऑब्वियसली देयर इज इकोनॉमी इन्वॉल्व बट लिमिटेड सही लेकिन पाकिस्तान को एक बेनिफिट तो था ना तो
Yeah.
हमने तो उसको भी मतलब इस हद तक प्रोलॉन्ग किया डिले किया कि इवन चाइना की जो अपनी कैलकुलेशन थी वो ऑफ हो गई now like they see us important but they don't see those projects being completed so I'm not sure what the future is but yeah I think ये कुछ infrastructure wise regional integration wise like अगर चाइना को एक्सेस मिल रही है पाकिस्तान के थ्रू तो हमें भी तो एक्सेस सेंट्रल एशियन कंट्रीज को मिल रही है ना चाइना
Hmm.
की मिल रही है ना
Yeah, definitely.
तो उससे मतलब आप एक इंडस्ट्री सेट कर सकते थे आप एक रीजनल ट्रांसपोर्टेशन हब बन सकते थे बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटीज थी बट ऑब्वियसली लाइक उसमें फिर रिस्क बड़े इन्वॉल्व हैं कि आप एक ब्लॉक का हिस्सा बने हमने पता नहीं कितनी अपॉर्चुनिटीज यूएस की साइड की मिस की होंगी बिकॉज दे एट दैट टाइम दे वर लाइक गोइंग ऑल ओवर के इसमें ना जाओ डेप्ट है जब अल्टरनेट मांगते थे तो कुछ था नहीं
Yeah.
so I think that's my summary of like a I feel like a really potentially good initiative like although limited for Pakistan but wasted altogether.
Like what? So maybe I'm not following news. Like why? Like is the project now like totally abandoned? Like what has happened?
So it's not totally abandoned. आपके पास प्रोजेक्ट के एज आई सेड देयर वर 3 phases. So हम दूसरे फेज को भी के टाइम लाइन को भी खत्म कर चुके हैं. बाय एंड ऑफ दिस ईयर टाइमलाइन खत्म हो जाती है सेकेंड फेज की, और उसके बाद 4 साल रह जाते हैं इस प्रोजेक्ट के. अब उसमें आपके पास जो जोन्स थे, आपके पास फंक्शनल जोन्स थे जो कि 5 थे. आपके पास फॉरेन इकोनॉमिक कॉरिडोर था, बॉर्डर ट्रेड लॉजिस्टिक जोन था, ईस्टर्न एंड सेंट्रल प्लेन इकोनॉमिक जोन था, वेस्टर्न लॉजिस्टिक कॉरिडोर था, बिजनेस जोन था, साउथर्न कोस्टल लॉजिस्टिक बिजनेस जोन था, इंडस्ट्रियल पार्क्स थे, अल्लामा इकबाल इंडस्ट्रियल सिटी थी, दाबीजी आपके पास जोन था, बोस्तान वाला जोन था. फिर आपके पास स्पेशल इकोनॉमिक जोन्स थे, वो भी 5 हैं आपके पास डिफरेंट एरियाज में. अब हुआ ये कि इनमें से बेयरली जो 3 हैं उन पे काम स्टार्ट हुआ है, और जो चौथा है उस पे रिसेंटली, और वो 70% कंप्लीट है जो 3 है, और जो उनमें से चौथा है उस पे अभी काम होना स्टार्ट होना है, विच इज क्लोजर टू थट्टा जो की बात हो रही है. इट्स गोना बी अ मेडिकल सिटी, इट्स गोना बी द फर्स्ट मेडिकल फार्मास्यूटिकल इकोसिस्टम. अब उसमें मसला ये है कि हमारे पास अगर आप पिछले 10 साल की टेररिस्ट अटैक्स देखते हैं, तो यू सी दे स्पेशली बलूचिस्तान साइड पे those terrorist attack targeted Chinese nationals, which और आपके पास ये था आइडिया कि अबाउट कोई मिलियन के करीब जॉब्स क्रिएट होंगी. उनमें से आई थिंक दे वर एबल टू क्रिएट अबाउट 2500,000 जॉब्स. उनमें से जो है आई थिंक 150,000 जॉब्स पाकिस्तानियों को मिली, बाकी जो है वो चाइनीज नेशनल्स को थी. So you drove those Chinese nationals back. A lot of them. There's a large portion went back. आपके पास गवादर में गवादर हक दो मूवमेंट जो है उसके वजह से वो सारा काम रुक गया. एयरपोर्ट्स के पे एक फैंस लगी हुई है. इवन जब रिसेंटली दे हैड लाइक व्हेन दे हैड इनॉग्रेशन ऑफ गवादर एयरपोर्ट, there was no Chinese national there. There was no bureaucrat, there were no diplomats, nobody came. आपके पास टेररिस्ट अटैक का मसला है. करप्शन इज अगेन अ मेजर प्रॉब्लम. thirdly आपके पास हमारे जो है ओवरऑल इतना प्रॉब्लम है. there was a huge issue of the division of these jobs between provinces. So when I was working for Balstan government, the biggest grievance the Balstan government have was that you're building a corridor that has 70% to do with Gwadar, and you do not give the jobs to anybody in Balochistan. Again, I kind of understand government problem with it too, because jobs were created in Punjab, they weren't created in Balochistan. आपके पास कंट्रैक्टर सारे चाइनीज आ रहे थे. तो जो पंजाब में जॉब्स क्रिएट हो रही थी, आपके पास चाइनीज जो आ रहे थे पढ़ाने के लिए, आपको चाइनीज आ रहे थे या दूसरी चीजें स्किल्स का आए थे, उनके लिए सिक्योरिटी टर्म्स में पंजाब आना ज्यादा सेफ था एज कंपेयर टू देम कमिंग टू बलूचिस्तान, बिकॉज अगेन इट वाज नॉट सेफ. तो अब उससे हुआ ये है कि it's actually, as Ali said, that China, like I think we have talked about this in previous episode as well, that China do not come out and say things outright in public, but they actually said that they have lost a lot of money because of CPEC. Currently, we are 1/4 of our debt is associated to China, which basically is driving us to the same situation Sri Lanka has went into. So we went to IMF, and IMF kind of helped us get bailed out of China's debt with a lot of things. Even China wrote off a lot of our debt, but they kind of annoyed at this point because we are not giving them anything to. In a lot of ways, it did help. Yes, it gave them a lot, but it was helping us a lot too. And we are not keeping our side of the bargain. So at this point, the Pakistan and China both are keeping really close books of what's been achieved and what's not, but things that were supposed to be done openly, there's literally nothing out there that you can say. As Ali said, the train thing was the biggest project. If even that was completed, it would have been, I think, one of the best things that would have happened.
And I think that recent visit, President Dari visit to China was part of this initiative where they want to
Mm-hmm.
like restart so many things. But if I may, just on the progress for, I know like there were some other ongoing projects which were later added under CPC, maybe just to like make it more attractive. बट अगर आप ऑफिशियल अपडेट्स भी देखो सीपीसी की तो मोस्टली जो प्रोजेक्ट्स कंप्लीट हुए हैं वो एनर्जी प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं.
Yes.
Those energy projects were mainly managed, governed, planned, designed completely by China. For
Yeah.
example, साहिवाल
Right.
कोल पावर प्लांट ऑपरेशनल है. उसके बाद 1320 मेगावाट का कासम पोर्ट कासम का जो कराची का जो प्लांट था वो भी ऑपरेशनल है.
Yeah.
उसके बाद चाइना हब वो भी ऑपरेशनल है. ये सारे सीपीसी के अंदर आते हैं. फिर उसके बाद एंग्रो थर था वो भी ऑपरेशनल है. उसके बाद कायदे आजम सोलर पार्क है अंडर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है. उसके बाद चाइना दाऊद है विंड फार्म है वो भी ऑपरेशनल है. तो लाइक लिस्ट गोज ऑन बट मोस्ट ऑफ देम आर either operational, like I would say more than 90% are either operational, and then there are few which are under like in pipeline or about to get complete. But if you look
Hmm.
at transport, like really bad performance. If you look at Gwadar, most of things are infrastructurally completed, but then obviously because of so many reasons, political, safety, they are facing major issues.
Yeah.
And CPC is not complete without Gwadar, so
Mm-hmm.
that goes without saying. And then the as Maria mentioned, like they have different cooperation special economical zones. Even those zones, like you will only see a little bit of progress on just uh, one economic zone, which is in Nishaki. Everything else is just like like
Hmm.
paintings or maps.
Hmm.
So I think the only significant progress which was seen was in energy sector.
So
And this
largely
goes,
we have failed to deliver from our side,
yeah,
right?
and this goes without saying. All of those energy projects were completed when Pakistan was like going through really bad
Energy
energy
crisis.
shortage.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I would say like I know like economics might look bad in long run and everything, but having them completed might have like give us a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
economical benefit or even advantage.
And one of the interesting thing is that I think we talked about in our climate change episode that China has made this thing public that they are not going to have any coal-based power plants outside China anymore. And they kept their side of the bargain. They are actually investing in renewables in Pakistan. Most of the power plants and energy work they are trying to do from now on has been on renewables. So that's again a thing. And I just want to add the same thing to what Ali was saying is they can build things for us, and they're very good at building stuff. But to keep it functional and keep the operation running, that's our side of the bargain, and we are not really great at delivering that. Our political instability is extremely bad. We don't. Uh, the only thing China asked us when they signed the CPEC with us was to make sure that our political situation doesn't go to in a bad place or the political, and though they knew that we are not that great with it, they said that make sure your political players are on the same page, or you know how to keep them on the same page.
And we said, watch us.
Yes. And
Well, this is why they always involve army with those because that's the one consistent player
Right.
to
Yeah.
talk to.
yeah, so that's what happened. I think one of the biggest problem is Gawad, and it will stay the biggest problem because we have seen the protests in last couple of years. They have intensified. The fishermen have extreme grievances. वहां पर आपके पास um, जो भी आपके पास माही हैं वो सारे के सारे यही प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं कि जी they are not able to even access the sea because the sea has been handed over to China. So around 70 to 80%
आई
of
थिंक
it.
आपकी लेवरेज भी तब रहती है जब आप अपनी साइड की बार्गेन कंप्लीट करते रहें. जब आप लाइक इमेजिन करें कि डिलेज पाकिस्तान की तरफ से होते जा रहे हैं और पाकिस्तान की तरफ से डिलेज होते जा रहे हैं और पाकिस्तान उसको मतलब अपनी एंड की बार्गेन कंप्लीट नहीं कर रहा, तो फिर दे विल व्हेनेवर दे हैव चांस दे गोना पुश देयर एजेंडा.
Of course.
Right.
So yeah, and I think Medical City is one of the projects which I am honestly looking forward to it, because again, it's gonna be something that they are gonna be developing, so it's a high chance of it getting developed. How are we gonna keep it operational? That's gonna be one interesting thing to watch out for. So interesting location as well. It's between Hyderabad and Karachi, so it's exactly in the middle of it. It's in Thatta. Have you anyone of you been there ever?
No.
Very interesting location. We It's a very interesting location because it's politically very heated place. So it's one of the that place that has the biggest uh, um, political rivalry between Jamaat Islami and People's Party. And uh, like my mom's side of the family, actually, her uncle was in People's Party at that point, like in back in 70s when there was Bhutto's government, and his whole family was killed in Thatta in the political dispute. So again, very heated place. People's Party has been in the government for more than 30 years at this point now. We know how bad the situation is. So um, I think one of the hardest things to do in Pakistan is to do anything in Sindh because of the how much the corruption rate is high. So we'll get to see what happens there. So that's gonna
Fingers
be
crossed.
interesting. Yep,
Yeah, and I think it's $1 billion project, right?
it is.
That's big.
It's big.
I don't think
So
it's a proper one integrated medical city with like proper pharmaceutical and like proper integrated medical city. I don't think if we have even single one.
no, we don't. It would be honestly very interesting because I mean the location is great. They're very close to the port, so there's always able to manage the ecosystem. So I think I would like to keep watching this project, because when I was working in the government sector, at that point, this you know what's the most interesting thing with China is that they have this 4 month season from uh, well, it's a little bit more than 4 months, but it's from April until August. They have all these bilateral agreements that they have all the countries in the world with. They
Mhm.
invite them, like different bulk of their people, like different delegation. They invite them to come to China, stay there, and it's a fully paid stay. They give you money. It's usually government employees, but they you go there. It's completely paid. It's 3 star, 5 star hotels that you're gonna be staying in. It's more than 2, 3 cities. They exchange the culture. They take you to the amazing cultural sites. They give you money to go shop and like enjoy the town. They pay for your food. They do everything. And the only thing that I realized, the only purpose they have is just to establish a goodwill
Hmm.
with the countries that they are working in, and also with the all the countries they are working with between them as well. And the example for me is like it's my own example. Like I went into China back in 2016. I ended up meeting people from 63 different countries. I'm leaving next week to go to Ecuador to meet one of the friends that I met there.
Hmm.
So, and there are like 6, 7 of those people that I'm still very close friends with.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I owe this to China for bringing us in and making those, like giving us that time and building those friendships. So it's a very interesting diplomacy that they are doing. And I mean, they're in the long run. So we will see what that pans out.
Interesting.
So let's move to our second topic, which is the US and its tariffs. Tariffs on Canada, tariffs on Mexico, tariffs on everybody who's passing by or exist. Because
हाँ
you
सबको
exist, you owe
क्या
US money. So, how are you guys feeling? Tasi, why don't you start?
Yeah, so I think the last update as far as Canadian side has been concerned, I think they're now they issued an order to for 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. Those are at this point most consequential for Canada because Canada is the largest exporter of steel and aluminum. I think Canada exports more aluminum to US than all the rest of the countries combined. Um, Same kind of story with steel. So uh, at this point, I think it has pretty much cleared that when Trump was talking about tariffs were strictly in his mind because start में बहुत सारा हो रहा था कि like why all of a sudden ये सारे friendly countries पे like what's the purpose uh, तो बहुत सारी उस टाइम पे स्पेकुलेशन थी कि मे बी दे वांट टू हैव लाइक एन अपर हैंड इन नेगोशिएशंस ऑन सर्टेन टॉपिक्स लाइक बॉर्डर कंट्रोल और उन सबको लेके बट अब आई थिंक इंक्रीजिंगली with every other day they slap tariffs on some new country, so it's more of a policy, and the effort I think there is that Trump actually meant what when he was saying that they want to like their intention is to basically um, impose those tariffs और उनसे जितनी भी collection होगी then they will pass on to the uh, like as tax rebate to the citizens to offset the जो inflationary effect आएगा उससे. So that has been the motive. It's super bad for Canada from our point of view. Like we are stuck in a very bad place. Firstly, our currency has been taking a hit for a while now. Canadian dollar is kind of at the lowest I think since 2003. Um, so that and then all of these tariffs are gonna cause inflation, and then we're gonna have to worry about like all of that spending that we have been doing recently. Where is that gonna come from? Like if we like अगर हमें ये deficit face करना पड़ता है, let's say of some sorts with the US in trade, because so far Canada runs like a trade surplus with the US. So like in the absence of all of those dollars coming in, where are you gonna plug the gap from? That becomes a challenge. और दूसरी ये चीज़ है कि ऑब्वियसली जब इस तरह की सिचुएशन होती है तो सो फार हम जो देख रहे हैं कि कैनेडा वांट टू retaliate with similar kind of tariffs. So that is gonna further aggravate the situation जहाँ पे we will again be dealing with inflation. ऑलरेडी अभी बैंक ऑफ कनाडा ने हम पीछे तकरीबन 1 डेढ़ साल से जो है वो देखते आए हैं कि like people had this like people were struggling to make ends meet, like mortgage payments were sky high interest rates की वजह से. So for the last a year and a half, everyone had their eyes on the interest rate, which Bank of Canada kept bringing down, trying to tame the inflation. But now all of a sudden we will be in a situation where economy could be contracting. I think it's a given now. Like if whatever if all of these tariffs stay in effect for let's say a year or so, uh, Canadian economy will definitely be contracting while the inflation will still be rising. तो उस situation में like Bank of Canada will be like in a very uh, kind of difficult situation जहाँ पे at one point आपकी इकोनॉमी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर रही है तो उसको आपने सपोर्ट करने के लिए इंटरेस्ट रेट गिराने हैं, बट at the same time इन्फ्लेशन इज हाई, तो आपने उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए अगर आप गिराएंगे तो
I think
इन्फ्लेशन
Bank
विल
of
गो
Canada
फर्दर
won't
अप.
care for inflation at that point because inflation can be like a marginal game, just like COVID. They will inject money. There is no other way. They will inject money. They will lower the interest rates. I think they even gave like during last public hearing, they even gave that indication that we have this much reserves, which we will be pumping if tariff comes, and then the banks, they, I think it was RBC, they projected that the interest rate might go down to like 1.5 or something if the tariffs like if like remember that when they were passed. So this was
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
before the steel and aluminum tariffs. So I think the Bank of Canada will try to save the economy rather than controlling the inflation.
Okay, that's very interesting because the last, that's an interesting take. I was listening to the last speech that the governor of the Bank of Canada gave, and like in a lot of the uh in a lot of the discussion points he was intentionally kind of vague, um because there is some uncertainty, like what's gonna happen, एक महीना delay हो गए हैं उसके बाद क्या होगा. So it was partially due to that, and then um, अगर इफ यू फॉलो द ये जो डिफरेंट स्टेट बैंक्स की तरफ से इस तरह रिव्यूज आते हैं ना मंथली या क्वार्टरली, तो उसके अंदर एक गाइडेंस का पार्ट होता है जिसके अंदर दे गिव लाइक प्रोजेक्शन ऑफ व्हाट दे सी इन द कमिंग मंथ्स एंड क्वार्टर्स. तो उसमें स्पेसिफिकली आई डोंट एग्जैक्टली रिमेंबर द वर्ड्स जो उसने यूज किए थे, बट वो कुछ इन्हीं लाइंस पे थे कि like he was exactly vocaling the concern जो that I shared के like we will be kind of in a, again the wording might be here and there, but he was basically saying we might be in a situation where it may be difficult for us to decide either to go in that direction or this direction. He was basically referring to अगर हमारी economy contract कर रही होती है और inflation is on the rise at the same time, we are in a tight spot.
No, for sure, yeah. But just I think my take on this is if I'm the governor and I can either control the GDP, which represents my economy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or either I can control the inflation. So I think this way it makes easier for me because there will be job losses, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inflation will be rising, but the jobs will be going as well.
Yes.
तो जो जितनी आपकी हैमिल्टन की मार्केट है लाइक वहाँ पे मोस्टली जॉब्स है ही ये एल्युमिनियम स्टील कार
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
मैन्युफैक्चरिंग
Mm-hmm.
आई थिंक ऑल ऑफ देम गोना बी इम्पैक्टेड डायरेक्टली
Mm-hmm.
तो जब आपकी अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट बढ़ रही है इकोनॉमी श्रिंक हो रही है at that point you might not want to care about inflation. This is my take on that, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what I could read between the lines when they were talking about like those endowment funds and those emergency funds. Those
Mm-hmm.
are only like whenever you have extra money injected, obviously there will be inflation. So I think that's their understanding of like give
Do
or
you
take.
think that because we are in an election year that might impact what they decide
Ideally
to do?
shouldn't be. Ideally shouldn't be. Bank of Canada is an independent institution. They shouldn't
Mm.
be influenced by like when the elections are or when the elections are not. But and also this was coming from RBC as well.
Yeah.
So like I understand there might be some influence on Bank of Canada, but there shouldn't be any influence of any independent bank.
Right. So I basically meant like अभी जैसी इलेक्शन का टाइम करीब आएगा तो obviously अगर टैरिफ्स वाला माहौल रहेगा तो like all the candidates will start taking positions, right? कि how are we going to deal with it? Everyone will be asking them questions around economy and tariffs. So they will have to take some positioning. So based on that positioning, if I know it's not gonna be like Bank of Canada will be looking at के candidates क्या कह रहे हैं, but it will not have like zero impact on them. Like they
या
will.
पब्लिक सेंटिमेंट का नो डाउट एक रोल होता है पब्लिक सेंटिमेंट बट अगेन पब्लिक सेंटिमेंट भी ये होगा ना फॉर एग्जांपल आई एम ओके टू पे लिटिल बिट मोर फॉर ग्रोसरीज बट आई वांट टू कीप माय जॉब
Mm-hmm,
सो
Yeah.
वो जॉब्स तभी फ्लोट करेंगे जब पैसा पंप होगा एक
mm-hmm,
तरफ
Yeah.
वही जैसे आपने एक्सप्लेन किया कि एक तरफ से आपका जो बैलेंस ऑफ ट्रेड था वो खराब हो गया दैट्स मीन लेस मनी कमिंग इनसाइड
Mm.
mm-hmm,
so that money has to come from somewhere so the
mm-hmm,
only place it can come from immediately is Bank of Canada.
mm-hmm. What do you think
So,
about the this? Sorry to cut you off. I like. Have you been following the trend where people are now buying strictly Canadian products? Do you think like this sentiment among the population can have like a significant impact?
I think ये जितनी भी चीजें रिसेंटली जो बेशक अब टैरिफ्स लगे या ना लगे और बेशक लाइक अभी टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट आई डोंट थिंक इफ वी नो हु विल बी द विनर फॉर
mhm,
टैरिफ्स राइट कनाडा का एक ट्रेडिंग पार्टनर है जो टैरिफ लगा रहा है बट अल्टीमेटली वो टैरिफ कौन पे कर रहा है यूएस सिटीजन पे
US
कर रहे
people,
हैं
yeah,
कनाडा यूएस तो हर मेजर ट्रेडिंग पार्टनर के ऊपर टैरिफ
mm,
लगा रहा है दैट्स मीन everything which US is importing is going to get affected by tariff and
yeah.
that money is being gonna be paid by US citizens or
Yes.
consumers right
yeah,
वहां पे inflation तो there is no brainer there will be an inflation there that's
yeah,
another question that US will have more money to give as like rebates tax breaks or whatever but that's a long game the immediate game will be there will be last time we if you remember इट बैकफायर ट्रंप ने स्टील और एल्युमिनियम पे टैरिफ लगाया था कि हम अपनी इंडस्ट्री को करेंगे
it
शुरू में
didn't take off.
प्रोडक्शन इंक्रीज हुई बाद में प्रोडक्शन गिर गई
Yeah,
Mm,
it didn't
बिकॉज
take off.
it's very expensive to make steel or like I'm not sure 100% what are the like underlying causes but it's much cheaper for them to import from Brazil from Canada rather
right.
than making over there so I have no doubt this will backfire as well to some extent, but I'm not 100% sure who will be the winner. But to your question, I think जो एक चीज लॉन्ग लास्टिंग है इकोनॉमिकल बेनिफिट्स और डिसएडवांटेजेस को छोड़ के कि कनाडा में मूड शिफ्ट हुआ है लोगों को
Yeah.
क्यूबेक लाइक जिसके अपने इश्यूज हैं जो कनाडा के साथ like at one point there were referendums there and they were like
The separation movement.
right आज वहां पे ये टाइम है कि वहां पे जब गेम होती है वहां पे लोग यूएस एंथम को बू करते हैं
Yeah,
एप्स बन रही हैं पब्लिश हो रही हैं जस्ट टू चेक के ग्रोसरीज क्या है ये आइटम यूएस की मेड
Yeah.
है या कैनेडियन मेड है सो सेंटीमेंट्स तो है ना अब आई थिंक वैंकूवर में या पता नहीं मैं किधर देख रहा था कि ओह सॉरी एडमिंटन में कोई एक कॉरिडोर है जिसका कोई ट्रम्प एफिलिएट के साथ उसकी फैमिली मेंबर किसी के नेम के साथ and there was like a little bit of movement के we should rename this we should like I'm saying
Yeah.
कि ये चीजें वहां पे होती हैं जब लोग एक्सट्रीम पोजीशन ले चुके होते हैं सो आई थिंक अब टैरिफ्स लगे या ना लगे एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग जरूर आ गई है कि ओ मे बी यूएस इज नॉट द काइंड ऑफ नेबर व्हिच वी हैव बीन थिंकिंग
Yeah.
और इफ यू लुक क्लोजली कनाडा जिस तरह की पॉलिटिक्स करता है कनाडा हैज नेवर लाइक अभी भी अगर आप देखें they are still saying over and over again we want to be good neighbors we want to cooperate with you
Mhm.
that's from the federal government the kind of same tone from the provincial governments सबसे I think hard stance किसने लिया है Ford ने लिया है
Yeah.
even Ford is proposing AMCAN which is American and Canadian cooperation on different trades instead of like just going directly for so I think वो तो शुरू में मुझे आइडिया था कि ये जिस तौसीफ ने शुरू में कहा कि बॉर्डर इश्यूज सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज आई थिंक वो सारे एक्सक्यूजेस थे
See.
किसी भी कंट्री में अगर आप नेशनल इंटरेस्ट को डाल के एनर्जी रिजर्व्स को डाल के किसी मतलब सिक्योरिटी थ्रेट्स
Mm,
एनर्जी थ्रेट्स एंड डाल के किसी कंट्री को भी किसी जुमरे में भी ले आओ इट्स वेरी इजी फॉर यू टू डिफेंड और वेरी इजी फॉर अदर पीपल टू कंटेस्ट अगेंस्ट यू तो ये तो चीज मुझे क्लियर थी बट आई थिंक नाउ पीपल इन स्पेशली इन कनाडा दे हैव रियलाइज के maybe the sovereignty is much better than having the complete dependency on US. So I think mood shift हुआ है और I also think यू इसकी एक बड़ी रीजन ये है कि यूएस खुद एक इन्फ्लेक्शन पॉइंट पे है लाइक
mm,
अगर हम ये अब अगला जो टॉपिक हम डिस्कस करेंगे यूएसएड का ये जो फंडिंग थी या जो जो एफिशिएंसीज कॉस्ट कटिंग हो रही हैं, आई थिंक यूएस ने सोच लिया है कि जो हमने वर्ल्ड वार 2 से लेके अब तक लोगों को समझाया था ना कंट्रीज को कि यार ऐसे ऐसे करना चाहिए, ये ह्यूमैनिटेरियन काजेज हैं, लाइक यूएस हैज डन, उससे प्रोपेगेंडा बोलो जिसको मर्जी, जिस तरह से भी यूएस हैज डन अ लॉट फॉर लाइक डिफरेंट कंट्रीज।
Yeah.
बट अब उन्होंने सोच लिया कि जो जितनी चीजें हमने आपको बताई हैं ना इतने सालों में, फॉरगेट एवरीथिंग, now we're going to do things in a completely different way. So I think these tariffs and these like making Canada 51 state out of nowhere, or like that discussion coming surface. So I think tariffs से ज्यादा लोगों ने जो majority of Canadians को जिस बात पे दुख हुआ होगा वो ये होगा कि like we have been living together, we have been very good neighbors, and now you wanna like make us your state without our own like choice. So I think this goes hand in hand.
Yeah, I think I agree with both of you on this because, like, as the other than the immigrants, the actual Canadians who grew up here or been raised here, are even in like second, third generation immigrants. If you talk to them, um, they are pretty angry. They have been, and honestly, there is a huge sentiment. Like, I live in a very immigrant based neighborhood. I live in a Jewish neighborhood. All our grocery stores, people are being so cautious of what they're picking, and they're checking where it's made or where it's being imported from. And I have not seen that before. I haven't seen people being that cautious before in Canada. And there's definitely that sentiment that, okay, we have been nice to you, and we understand it was two-way street, but now you can't bully us into it. So, do you think that Karner would have, because we know that he like the has a very strong economic history. He's been known to be a good economist. As much as I have watched his interviews, looked at his resume, he seems like a very strong candidate, and we could see the numbers going up for Liberal Party. Do you think him coming in, if it happens, along with these tariffs and US changing its policy, as Ali has mentioned, will be treated as a wake up call for Canada to change its policies and like maybe branching it out and not putting its like 70-80% of its eggs in US basket and exploring other options like EU, maybe China or Russia even?
You want me to comment?
Both of you.
Yeah, so I frankly haven't got a chance to read into like what kind of economic plan is he presenting. Yeah, of course he has like a super impressive resume, especially when it comes to economy. One thing I heard from him was, which I don't agree with, is he thinks that it's not like a one-off thing. I am a disagreement there. I think it's just like a Trump term. This one term, once we are done with this, we are gonna be back to having it the old ways. Um,
I think
so
that's the Party's whole take in last couple of months is that it's not just a Trump thing.
yeah, so I actually it is kind of challenging, like because based on this assessment of somebody's, you're gonna plan like the future policy, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, your policy could be really good or really off, depending on if your assessment ends up getting right or wrong.
I also
um
think, sorry to cut you, but I also think US is going deep into this narrative.
Yeah, I
You
feel the same
remember
way.
JD Vance visiting Munich last week, and the kind of cold shower he gave over there, like that kind of disrespecting. Like it's not just Canada right now. It's not just tariff. It's not just about borders. So I think for them, and even the Canada has same message in Munich, like, see, this is what we have been facing for like
Yeah.
1 or 2 months. and now he's coming here. Like now with Ukraine, like you can agree with Biden policies for Ukraine or the way the money was spent or not, but like the whole West world was aligned on that, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, one country emerges, and that's why it's very hard to believe if it's just a Trump thing,
Yeah.
because the whole rush is behind him. If it's just a Trump thing, I think he's been very effective persuader of like rolling over everything they have been doing for like past eight
I
to
think
10 months.
after every statement from him, the kind of damage control that his team is trying to do gives an indication that it's a Trump thing. That is the reason why I would think that it is just him unilaterally, like,
Yeah,
I
no, I
mean,
hope so. I hope so. It's a Trump thing.
yeah, that statement about Zelensky today, like,
Oh,
what is that statement?
that was
Only,
intense.
Yeah, I think I never felt bad for Zelensky even during war, like as much bad as I felt for today. Like, I
Felt.
mean, you can't do this to anyone. Like, he was your poster boy for this war. Like, and now, like all of a sudden, like there are ways. I think U.S. even got out of Afghanistan much, and this was under Trump administration,
Yeah.
much more carefully than how they're doing with the
The
Russian war.
Ukraine. Yeah. I think it's a very interesting point that we can move to our next topic, which is tech bros running the government.
yeah.
So how? So I wake up every day and I get two emails. One is from Zito, which is doing this but everyday analysis of what DOGE is doing, which I am fascinated by because I could see there's like Madison has some deep, I don't want to say hate, but some deep association to keeping a close eye, and the other is coming from any other media group that I've subscribed saying what DOGE did today. And then you go and then I open our group and there's like a message one off here and there from Ali's like, have you checked Elon Musk tweeting today? That's literally the three things that's been happening in my life, and that makes me a really sad person saying this. But a guy who's tweeting 180 times in a span of 2 hours, uh, I don't know. They like the things they are putting up out there. The U.S. aid being shut down, the international development funds being pulled out of WHO, not wanting to be part of climate change. Uh, Unrolling every DEI based initiative that's been taken over, which when I started reading the stories, the personal stories of people and how much it's going to be affecting people, it especially for people who go through cancer treatments. When they go through their chemos, their jobs will not be protected. So there's like things like that is being affected.
Killing
Um,
USAID.
Killing USAID, yes. There's something I read somewhere which said that I guess America is being forgetting that the only way to keep their diplomacy alive was their purse. Um, so, what do you guys think? What have you guys been watching? Well, you have been watching. I'm not alone getting those emails.
Yeah, so I think the Doge story and the eventual outcome is highly likely gonna be like an epic failure. And like a single thing that will be very descriptive of that is when the SpaceX blew up their last rocket, the debris of the rocket was falling, and Elon Musk tweeted that success is not certain but entertainment is guaranteed. So that is exactly what's going to happen with Doge. We're going to get like a ton of entertainment, but success is not guaranteed, and highly likely we're not going to get anything substantial out of it. Um
Well, they're aiming to save 1 trillion. No, actually more than $1 trillion. That's yeah. So you're aiming yourself for failure anyways if you're setting up that milestone.
When you're aiming for
But it's very easy,
trillions,
I
you
will tell
not
you
go
guys.
after for.
Hmm.
So when
Have you
you're,
guys seen the kind of spending they have been finding?
Yeah.
So you know me, like, and the kind of love affair I have with Elon Musk, right?
Oh, I.
But I'm gonna tell you, and don't judge me for saying this, I'm impressed. The kind
I
of
mean,
the kind of bloated government US has, I had no idea. Do you know they had funding for bird watchers in Brazil?
yes.
yeah, but
Uh,
like how much? Like $47,000 for. I mean, if
there are some fundings which are in millions,
yeah,
and okay,
so that's what I wanted to say. When you're aiming for trillions, forget going after the millions.
they okay. But the point is, it's the same thing where Hans Hubs had, we will bring this much money back, right? And
Yeah.
then even when you do like a chunk of that, I think the reason I'm impressed is not based on the kind of money they are gonna save or the kind of cutting they're gonna do. I'm only impressed, like I think it's not even been 1 month or so,
Yeah.
and the kind of findings they had. And again, this is me not putting a stamp or approval on the way, like obviously this is the US jurisdiction and courts have been like doing their job. So that's not my, I'm not going to comment on that. But the kind of findings they have, that makes you understand how bloated these governments are. एंड ऑफ द डे पैसा किसका है? टैक्स पेयर्स का पैसा है ना.
Yes.
जिस तरह से हमें नहीं पता यूएसएड का पैसा पाकिस्तान में कहाँ कहाँ लगता था, हमें
Oh,
नहीं पता
yeah.
कि या सो
Yeah, but those are all
again,
like peanuts.
no, I don't think these are peanut. I think Pakistan.
Like the total USAID budget is what, like
Do you know
30.
It's
how much?
1.2% of US government
Do you
budget.
guys know how much US spent last year in Pakistan?
How much?
No,
1.1 billion, and 814 million in Afghanistan, 287 in Bangladesh,
Bangladesh.
and you will see these numbers in all countries.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
might
so
see that as like 1 billion for Pakistan, but US has these open accounts in like almost all countries. No country can run like that. That's why I'm saying I'm impressed. The amount of issues they're finding. I don't care if they fix it. I don't care how they're finding it. But this is just baffling how governments waste. And we have same examples in over here as well.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
arrive like can arrive like is it difficult to find that kind of mismanagement? ये तो हम शुरू से मानते थे कि गवर्नमेंट्स एफिशिएंट नहीं है, बट आई हैड नो आइडिया कि गवर्नमेंट्स इतनी ब्लोटेड है और इतना बेदरेक पैसा यूज होता है. So that's the only point where I'm impressed. But I'm gonna leave the prosecution and I'm gonna leave the way and the kind of impact they are saying they have God level access to everything.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe that's the reason they are finding everything. Maybe that's the reason they are able to show those things which were never part of those audits. I think more than $2 billion were not even traceable. Like there is no transaction number pointed to those. The government just said like we just spent those dollars,
Hmm.
and you can't even track them. So I think it doesn't matter who finds them, how they're found. For me, this is just a story at its own. The kind of money which has been wasted. And when you go to, I was in New York, Gujranwala se bure unke roads hain, right?
Hmm.
Maybe spend that money there, right? So for me, like the kind of image I have for US and the kind of efficiency I had in my mind, because obviously it's a superpower, right? But this is just baffling how they have been managing their money.
I want to add this something to here is the part that's very interesting to me is yes, the money that they are finding in different places might not be huge chunk of money, but what Elon Musk or Dodge is trying to do is not something new. It's very much Republican parties thing. They have tried to do it before as well. and not just Republican Party. It's been like in Bill Clinton time, he tried to do that. There was a whole agency was established who did this. There was a time Nixon has tried to do it. There was time before him that's been done. So it's a
खान
very
साहब ने भी
known.
भैंसे खान साहब ने भी भैंसे बेची थी।
Yes. So आपके पास जो है ना
27,000 रुपए आए थे इससे।
एग्जैक्टली सो
वो
आपके पास
डैम फंड में गए थे फिर।
यस कि आपके पास जो है ना गवर्नमेंट हैज ऑलवेज बीन ब्लोटेड is there are a lot of things that they have figured out. अब उसमें जो है again बात वही I think the conversation you both are having is very similar to every article that I've read. That they are like, oh, we found these $70 million here.
Yeah.
And but they're like, but these are peanuts. You're saying you're gonna do this, and
No, not just
they're like,
so they are peanuts is one thing. Can they put together like a breakdown of, let's say, I don't know what the total budget of USAID is, like let's say it's 25 billion. Like how much of that is like is like misallocated, that you can say? Not like 60-70%. I don't think so.
okay. So basically, they are not just saying that it's the budget that's misallocated. They are saying that the whole agency has no purpose. There's no point of it. Why are we funding and giving this kind of money outside? Now that's a whole policy conversation, right? Because yes, there is a legal repercussion for it, and as Ali said, it's going to judges, it's going to prosecution, it's going to that. Do you want to eliminate these?
Okay, so
Organizations.
I will.
In 2023, US spent 63 billion dollars just from
It's
USA.
1.2% of their budget. It's a 1.2% of their
Right.
whole
So
country's
The
budget.
question is why US care what bird watchers are doing in Brazil. I just want to understand this.
And can I be that bird watcher?
I don't know. I don't know
What,
about bird watch.
what,
I will lay down the problems that I have with it. Firstly, that like whatever is coming out of DOGE, there needs to be like a consolidated record somewhere, because
There
I
is
don't.
consolidated records, by the way. They have a website up and they're putting up everything there.
Yeah.
There is
So let me. Yeah.
what
Let
really
me.
matters?
Let me tell you about that website. On that website, if you sort them based on the um the kind of misappropriations they have found, the one at the very top is like 8 billion.
Yeah.
Somebody at a news agency took that item and went into the details, and they found out that that was actually 8 million.
Million.
8 million was projected as 8 billion, which DOGE, which is like Department of Government Efficiency, which was like so efficient that it took them 10 days to realize that and remove it from there and offer no clarification whatsoever.
Acha,
Zero.
okay,
None.
okay, okay, okay. Here's the thing.
Yeah, a
Though
big one
I,
smile
I
told you
it,
to
it's
big
I
one.
know.
He
I
doesn't
know
want
I am not, again, not the person who likes Elon Musk. But here's the thing. It was a mistake done by the previous government, or when they wrote about that contract. So until 22nd January, it was 8 billion on the government website. When DOGE got that, they wrote it 8 billion, and then the government changed it 8 million, but they didn't change it 8 billion while it's being redirected to the 8
And
million.
they
So,
removed it, and so let me close it. They removed it, and for a highly efficient department, it would take like just 2 minutes to offer a clarification, but they did not, and they will
and
not,
they still,
because
and they are still reporting it in billions.
they are largely running on misreporting and fake reporting.
that's
Yes,
how Elon Musk operates, but they still believe this apology or this correction is shouldn't be from us because we took their number. They should be the one who should be rectifying something based on their data, based on because we are just quoting them.
yes.
But anyhow, मेरा इसमें पॉइंट ये है अगर मेरे घर में इनएफिशिएंसी है और मुझे मेरा कोई भाई कहता है कि मैं इसमें तुम्हें 200 रुपये पकड़ के दिखाऊंगा, तो वो मुझे 10-10 रुपये पकड़ के देता, तो मैं ऐसे कहूँ ये तो कुछ है ही नहीं है। फ्रॉम माई पॉइंट, लाइक द it's not 100 million, 10 million, 20 million. It's where that money, like that sink of money is just doesn't make sense. There is
No,
no
I
story.
agree.
So that's why I'm saying I'm impressed that I had no idea US is spending money. I knew US aid covers like political. For example, I think they spent quite much of money in India for voter movement.
Yes.
Hmm.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so,
Nobody knows.
no,
Nobody
no, so,
knows.
no, no. So, but whoever criticizes that, like, if Doge picks that thing has an issue, they should get to the bottom of what was that.
That's. I think they are not aiming for that.
Yeah, no, 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 they are
They're
not
not aiming
aiming
for
for it.
that.
So then it's like it's like no one can say whether they are doing like a good work or a bad work. It's only the outcome that we are gonna see years from now, that what it is. So here is what I think it's gonna happen. I think they are moving, trying to move too fast, and in trying to be efficient, they are. So firstly, is there any government that is efficient? No, governments by design are not efficient. Governments are like most inefficient monopolies that applies to every country in the world. That is
Yeah.
the story in the US. So I think in trying to fix that, a problem that is inherent in the design of the government, they are gonna end up breaking more things than fixing, and they're only gonna realize after the Trump is done with his term and all of these clowns are not going to be answerable to everyone, and then the, the the public and all of the right wing media is going to realize that what was happening.
So I agree with you on this one because here's the thing. What you're expecting them is you're saying that why they are not doing the complete investigation of what's wrong. That's not their mandate. They are on a 365 days timeline because there's no actual. They are not a government department. They're this advisory board that's been established through the stroke of a pen, and they could last not more than 366 days.
Right. So
So they
okay,
are
so so if that is true, like, disband the FBI, you would save a ton of cash, but you won't do that because it would do more
exactly.
damage than it would help, right? So you are
Not
doing
everything is
exactly that
binary,
in
right?
every
Not
department.
everything is binary. I think मेरी इसमें summary ये है, Dodge wasn't supposed to exist. Dodge wasn't supposed to do all of these things which they have been doing. They are definitely they're gonna face so much issues as well, rightly so. But nobody else did that. That's what baffling me. That's what amazing
Yeah.
part of this story is. I don't care if they get succeeded or not. For me, just putting those numbers, like, to be fair, Mariam, to see, did you guys know US has been spending this much money on these things?
No, of
Even
course
US
not.
taxpayers don't know. Transparency is one pillar of democracy, right? So when you preach that, when you like, where was the audit? There was so much money lost without any traceability. So if I don't care who is doing that, I don't care if it's Big Balls or someone else or a memer who is part of Dodge, if he's doing that, for me, for me this is just amazing when it's out there.
E-
So
E-
I'm
E-
not
E-
my
Elon
focus is
Musk Elon Musk complained that they doxed him by mentioning his name.
yeah.
That's the kind of circus that's going on.
I
I mean, as
mean,
you already said, it's entertainment is guaranteed. If the
Yeah,
success is
that
not,
yeah, that I
yeah.
agree with. But
So my
success is like highly
and at
likely
least
not gonna
enjoying the
my takeaway
entertainment.
is entertainment. So I'm not even seeing that
So
result.
you're signed
There
up
is
for
no
the
value.
entertainment, right?
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely there was this woman, her interview I was reading, and she was part of Bill Clinton teams who was trying to reduce the cost cutting. Uh, she talked about in very much detail, and she said that if you are aiming for the amount that he's aiming for, or Trump government is aiming for, you cannot not go after defense because if you want to save that kind of money, you have to go after defense as well. And she said that's where the Congress and the Trump will draw the line, because we know how that works. So she said that that was one of the biggest problem. The second is, she took a dig at him. She said that, layoffs might be celebrated in Silicon Valleys, but if you do layoffs in the government jobs, that can cause bigger problem in scenarios where you could have pandemic, or you would have any security situation, or these kind of things. So I think those are the things that, a lot of the things that we are talking about, I understand, and I think that there should be cost cutting in government. I have worked in government. They give in Pakistan, every government officer in the district level. So if you have a district IT officer, or a district you have an AC, which is assistant commissioner in a district. You would have a deputy commissioner. All these people, they have a budget which is called entertainment budget. Now this budget's been allocated to them, which they can write off anything in that budget. And that's something happening in a third world country. I'm pretty sure that happens in other government as well, because a lot of these governments have been modeled after the colonization system we had in London, like we had in England, and we had in imperial countries. So this is being modeled after that. I think they should be cost cutting, but they recently targeted about 10,000 employees in Social Security Agency, which were either newly employed or were under their probation period, which does create problems, because in this case, you're taking 10,000 employees out of it. You are trying to declare people who might not be dead based on your statistical analysis, because that's what they did. They pull out a spreadsheet and they're like, oh, these people are above this age and we should just stop their payment. But the thing with this, if you start deciding who's dead or who's not dead on a statistical analysis, you kill their social security number. Once you kill their social security number, their bank payments they get removed from the banks. They get removed from there. Now you started a payment error all over the country, and you have fired 10,000 people who can fix it. And we have talked about this in the Boeing episode, that when you fire the people who knows what to do, you eliminate that human checks. And I
Competent
think
people are gone.
so there's that problem that he's creating is on that level. I completely agree with Ali that there has to be some accountability. We should know what government is doing. We should know where the money is going. But do we have to lay off people? And if we are laying them off, are we laying them off because we want to do something, because we have seen it in a private sector? Or are we doing it, do we have a logic attached to it? And the thing is, since they are not government employees, none of them are government employees, none of them have worked in government, none of them have stakes with government in a way that actually affect them.
They're
Stakes
treating
in
it
that
like
way.
Twitter. That's what happened
Yes.
at Twitter in like 3-4 months at the very start when the acquisition happened.
So I think those are the points that is definitely for me are bigger concerns. It's not that they are going after the like people or money that is being spent. To be honest, I have worked with USAID, I have worked with the United Nations, and I've worked with European Union, and it's a big statement I'm making, but I can vouch for whatever I have seen. I have never seen them doing anything useful in Pakistan, at least. At least in Balstan, I can tell you this. There's nothing that I have seen and be like, oh my God, this is such a good initiative. We should have pumped this kind of money and we should have done these things. Do they use these agencies as a leverage in Pakistan or any third world countries? Yes. And
Like
I get that.
students get scholarships through USAID, for instance, like that.
Yeah, but again, here, yeah, we know about. We also know Fulbright, right? There's a huge chunk of people who went outside. I'm not saying that that's not the good thing, but if you go on a root level, you work with these agencies. I have never seen them. There's never been an output. There's not a follow through of what they're doing. The government employees get highly good treatment. They get to go on trips. They get to visit other countries. They domestically traveled. They get participated in the projects. Do they go anywhere? I hardly seen it. And I know there's a problem with our own systems and there's corruption and there's all of those things. But we also know that these agencies do not come with that sentiment. We also know that these agencies are also used to make pop culture sentiments. Like USAID makes dramas in Pakistan. I mean, sure. Why are you investing in pop culture of another country? Clearly, you're trying to make change the, like, at least in India, we know what they're investing in Indian voter
I
movement.
think I think world is better place without USA. Let's put it that way. आपको बचपन में याद है ना हम जब भी कोई पाकिस्तान में बारिश हुई थी तो गणित अमेरिका करा रहा है
Yeah.
I
याद
think
है
I think US aid had like a net positive effect. Like
I think it's a leverage
we
point.
like it might be like a bit rich for us to say that because we haven't seen the kind of situations that other like some of the money going from USAID into Sudan might have done something for a bunch of families that would make those, let's say, 100,000 or $1 million worth a lot more. So
Funding should not be with the strings attached. US funding always has strings attached.
I don't think that is the case in 100%, but I don't think that what you are saying is
Give me
like
one
entirely
funding
wrong. It is
partner
true, but
that
it's
has,
not like 100%.
give me one example in where US give money to Pakistan and then never ask again, like or never expect anything in return.
So again, I don't know like the exact details of the project, but a lot of
But
the
the
U
system,
a lot of the
the
US aid
system
money
never affected.
went into many health projects through the United Nations as well. I don't think they would have
I
like
think they
any.
even made polio controversial in Pakistan. So when Shakil Afridi episode happened,
Yeah.
so I mean,
I
I
get your point.
I have seen German funding and the way they work. They they are very efficient with their fundings. They built a school in my village, and like apparently there are no strings attached. The government won't come to like have a muscle on you to say we gave you 1.1 billion dollars, which compromises of all of that number, and
Or
then
we
ask you for like
do
different.
this, or we will push you into the time of.
Yeah, so I'm not saying like that it's 0%.
Mhm.
The influence that they are trying to like influence countries based on those fundings, but it's certainly not like 100%.
We can,
It's probably
I
somewhere in
think,
the
yeah.
middle.
I mean, there are out to be outliers. Like goodwill prospect is there, but I think the objective is always to have leverage. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's also the concern that's been going around, right? With the Congress and with everybody else, with the US aid shutting down, is that we are taking away that leverage. The people have, congressmen have come out outright and said that if we shut down US aid, we or get out of WHO, or we are not going to be investing in these, we are taking that leverage away, and that fundamentally is gonna get us into a situation where we would not have allies, or we would not have people that have uh, are in debt. So that kind of situation. Um, do you? So I do think it's something that um, is US moving towards. There is a shift in policies overall in the world. Um,
It's just one term, like 4 years.
okay. Uh, you agree with me, Ali, right? That there is a shift, this sort of a shift.
I feel like it's a bit of both.
Hmm.
Trump is definitely a madman, but and then obviously when you say this thing, I don't know how it's gonna. There are reasons behind many of those things which he is doing. Like the way he's doing is like obviously personified. very extremist way of doing things. For example, I'm a believer of cost cutting. The way DOGE is doing, I don't agree with it. I'm a believer of looking for your own people. US has so many issues.
Mm.
US money should first be spent inside the US. So that goes all that discussion where we are saying like money goes to bird watcher or whatnot, and then the roads are looking like third world country. So that's my reason for them to cut the external fundings and everything. And then Trump saying, like, for example, we were saying BRICS and like all other those things. US dollar was always US leverage, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's in US interest to put tariffs on those countries to go against. So I think for American it totally makes sense. The way he's doing things is obviously something which doesn't sit well. It will have its own impact, as the chief said. Maybe the next government will try to do these things in much more sooner way.
Okay. Um, so the last topic is Afghan refugees that's been pushed out of Pakistan. So a little bit of background I'm going to give here is कि अगर आप you grew up in Pakistan in 80s and 90s, आप Afghan, you have met Afghan refugees, you grew up with them, um, especially from where I come from. आपके पास Cold War होती है, Russia attacks Afghanistan, आपके पास एक large number of Afghan refugees बलूचिस्तान में और केपीके में उनका इन्फ्लक्स होता है आपके पास लोग जिस कंडीशंस में आते हैं इट्स वाज हार्ट ब्रेकिंग टू वॉच बट उससे इम्पैक्ट क्या हुआ उससे हुआ ये कि बिकॉज एक जगह से बहुत सारे लोग आते हैं आपकी तरफ वो फाइनेंशियली दे आर नॉट इन द गुड सिचुएशन आपके पास we know one of the best place to harvest afim is Afghanistan. तो आपके पास उसकी हार्वेस्टिंग शुरू हो जाती है अमेरिकन इंडस्ट्री हैवीली इन्वेस्ट करती है उसके अंदर एंड आपके पास ड्रग्स का फ्लो पाकिस्तान में स्टार्ट हो जाता है और वो टाइम है आपके पास 80s का एंड 90s का स्टार्ट आपके पास असला भी बहुत ज्यादा इलीगल असला इस साइड पर आता है माय फैमिली ग्रो अप मोस्टली इन बलूचिस्तान सो वो भी टाइम है कि जब हमें घर के दरवाजे बंद करके नहीं सोने पड़ते थे देयर वाज अ टाइम दैट वी वुडंट डू इट बट उसके बाद हमने वो भी चेंज होते देखा है कि आपके पास इतनी वेपनरी आ गई है कि you could literally find weapons everywhere. उसके बाद कुछ लोग जो है पाकिस्तान से निकल के डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में डेवलप्ड कंट्रीज में चले जाते हैं जिनके पास रिसोर्सेज थे इसी तरह से आपके पास नॉर्थ अमेरिका में आपके पास यूरोप में आ जाते हैं फिर तालिबान की गवर्नमेंट आ जाती है जो कि largely is being motivated or being encouraged by our side and the people who were against Russia, US. These people were sitting with the US government and having these conversations. They were welcomed into White House and they started being in the government and आपके पास एक history of oppression start होता है आपके पास स्कूल्स बंद हो जाते हैं औरतों का घरों से निकलना बंद हो जाता है उनको आहिस्ता आहिस्ता हर शोबे से बाहर निकाल दिया जाता है आपके पास किलिंग्स होती हैं जो कि हर फ्राइडे को पूरे के पूरे शहर को मैदानों में बिठा के दिखाई जाती हैं लिंचिंग होती है फिर आपके पास America decides that after 9/11 that they have to go and liberate Afghans from the same people. So और हमसे पूछा जाता है कि जी ये पैसे चाहिए अगर पैसे चाहिए तो हेल्प करो अपने बेसिस दो और वरना we will do what we are planning to do with Afghanistan to you too as well. And हम पर very famously General Musharraf has quoted this in his book and Afghanistan पे अटैक होता है and we give them bases or we go into years like more than 20, 30, 40 years of war जिसमें हमारे अपने लोग भी मरते हैं बहुत सारे टेररिस्ट अटैक्स हो जाते हैं और फिर again another influx of Afghan refugees into ईरान, पाकिस्तान, अब and then America in the middle of nowhere decides कि हम वापस जा रहे हैं, bye bye, and they leave, and the Taliban took over all over again with a puppet government installed. But now Pakistan want Afghan refugees to go back home because हमारे पास resources नहीं है, हमारी economy बहुत बुरी condition में है, and in a lot of ways we are not that resourceful country to keep these people floating. उनके रहने की जगहें नहीं है, हमारे पास रिसोर्सेज भी नहीं है. सो अब उनको कहा गया है कि देयर आर 3 phases में. फर्स्ट फेज ये है कि अगर वो इलीगल हैं और वो कभी रजिस्टर नहीं हुए यहाँ पर, तो उसी टाइम उनको डिपोर्ट कर दिया जाएगा. सेकंड ये है कि जो किसी टाइम पर रजिस्टर हुए थे उनको टाइम दिया गया है, 31 मार्च तक का डेडलाइन है कि अगर वो जो है वो दूसरी कंट्रीज में इफ दे आर अप्लाइंग फॉर द वीजास, कुछ यूएस में, कुछ यूरोप में दे आर अप्लाइंग फॉर वीजास, अगर उनके वीजास आ जाते हैं तो दे हैव टू लीव, अदरवाइज दे विल बी डिपोर्टेड बैक टू यूएस एंड दे हैव टू लीव द ट्विन सिटीज. एंड थर्ड फेज इज जिसमें कि वो सारे के सारे लोगों को विदाउट एनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन दे विल सेंड देम बैक. currently आपके पास पिंडी इस्लामाबाद में एक huge population है, about 800,000 of Afghan refugees there, और उनमें से काफी ज्यादा को they are pushing them out of the twin cities who are waiting for their visas to arrive from US embassy. Did any one of you got a chance to look at the situation, or what do you guys think about it, or generally on the Afghan refugee situation?
नो आई थिंक ये कुछ महीने लाइक आई डोंट नो इस वक्त क्या हो रहा है, ये कुछ महीने पहले हुआ था व्हेन दे लाइक वो क्लिप्स भी बहुत वायरल हुए थे कि लाइक कोई कुछ बच्चे थे, दे वर बोर्न हियर इन पाकिस्तान, वो स्कूल जाने शुरू हो गए, उनके दोस्त हैं एंड दे वर लाइक सेइंग गुड बाय, हगिंग ईच अदर. तो वो तब का एपिसोड था और अब ऑल ऑफ अस लाइक आई थॉट इट वाज हैपनिंग लाइक a couple of
It's
months ago.
still happening. It's still
Okay.
happening.
Yeah, so the deadline got extended one time,
Yes.
but I think Pakistan तो by birth citizenship ही देता, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw the graph. मुझे वो एक्चुअली बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगा. वो पूरा वर्ल्ड मैप था और उसके ऊपर कंट्रीज मार्क थे जो देते हैं. एंड देयर इज लाइक कनाडा, यूएस, ये मुल्क देते हैं. देन देयर वर अ कपल ऑफ कंट्रीज इन अफ्रीका. पूरा यूरोप नहीं देता.
Yeah.
And in all of the Asian region, there was only like Pakistan. I felt kind of proud. और कि वहाँ पे like जो बच्चे पैदा होते हैं उनको सिटीजनशिप दी जाती है. But I think we are rolling back. Terrible.
I think overall, from government's point of view, I think it's a complicated topic. Obviously इसमें बहुत सी चीज़ें पावर अब्यूज होगी, बहुत से ऐसे लोग जो बड़े सालों से यहाँ पे रह रहे हैं, इंटीग्रेट हो चुके हैं. अब गवर्नमेंट ने बस ब्लैंकेट पॉलिसी बनानी है. अब इस आई थिंक ये सारा कुछ शुरू कहाँ से हो रहा है कि इश्यूज तो हैं, जैसे आपने कहा लाइक वी आर नॉट अ वेरी रिसोर्स प्लेस, तो पाकिस्तान में इश्यूज तो हैं, सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज हैं, लाइक लोग डॉक्यूमेंटेड नहीं हैं. सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज में मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि लाइक क्राइम सारे का सारा वहां से आ रहा है, बट obviously government can't have their control if they don't know who is living where and who is doing what, right? So ये एक उसका फेस तो मेरे ख्याल से ये हो सकता था कि सबको रजिस्टर करते, सबको रजिस्टर करने के बाद केस टू केस लोगों की, जैसे यूएस में है डेपोटेशन होती है मासवाई अभी के टाइम के, आपकी केस हियरिंग होती है, आपका पर्सनल केस देखा जाता है कि आप कब से रह रहे हो, आपकी इंटीग्रेशन कैसी है, आपके बच्चे यहाँ पे पैदा हुए हैं, वो ऑलरेडी लाइक दे हैव नथिंग टू डू विद अफगानिस्तान. तो आई थिंक इस तरह से ये चीज़ हैंडल हो सकती थी. बट ऑन द अदर साइड आई नो कि अल्टीमेटली कुछ इस तरह से होना था कि पाकिस्तान की पॉपुलेशन ऑलरेडी ऑन द राइज है, इश्यूज हैं, या आप किसी भी जो प्रोजेक्शन कर रहे हो या जो आप प्लानिंग कर रहे हो आप उसमें उनको हिस्सा ही नहीं रख रहे, तो यहाँ तो फिर इस चीज़ को फिक्स कर लो, तो प्रोजेक्शन में रख लो कि भाई ये चीज़ हम इतनी इंपोर्ट करते हैं या इतनी ग्रो करते हैं या इतनी रिटर्न करते हैं बाहर से, इसमें वो इतने अनडॉक्यूमेंटेड लोग भी हैं, वो कहाँ से खाएंगे, इसी सिस्टम में से खाएंगे. जो जॉब प्रोडक्शन हो रही है, ये सारा कुछ हो रहा है। और फिर उसके साथ आई थिंक एक जो चीज़ थोड़ी सेंसिटिव टॉपिक है, लेकिन जो मेजर इशू 2 साल से आ रहे हैं ना, वो स्पेशली जब से ये यूएस गया है, ये नई गवर्नमेंट 1 साल तक गए हैं, पाकिस्तान को आई थिंक इतना इशू उनके रहने से नहीं है जितना इशू ये बॉर्डर क्रॉसिंग के थ्रू जो इश्यूज आ रहे
Yeah.
हैं, डॉलर ट्रांसफर होते हैं, बाकी इस तरह की चीजें, दैट किल्स योर इकोनॉमी।
Yeah, it does.
तो अब ये 2250 किलोमीटर का बॉर्डर तो कंट्रोल होने से रहा, बाढ़ लगाई आपने, बड़ी जगहों से काट दी गई, नहीं
बट
फेंस कर
उनको
सकते ना।
उनको निकालना will not change any of that.
दैट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग, उनको डॉक्यूमेंट करना एक फेज होना चाहिए था, दे जस्ट वेंट टू द लास्ट स्टेप। उसमें स्टेप में क्या है, आप डॉक्यूमेंट करो, जो बंदा आ जा रहा है आपको पता होगा कौन आ जा रहा है,
हाँ,
पाकिस्तानी भी आ जा रहे हैं आपको पता होगा कौन आ जा रहा है। इम्प्लीमेंटेशन है ही नहीं। उन्होंने कहा सबसे बेस्ट, जैसे सजाए मौत है ना, एक बंदे ने जुर्म किया है, गवर्नमेंट कहती है और इसका हल क्या है, रिहेबिलिटेशन करें। रिहेबिलिटेशन इज कॉस्टली राइट, इट्स अ लॉन्ग प्रोसेस।
yeah,
तो उसमें कहते हैं कि अब किस कंट्रीज में वो कहते हैं कि आप बंदा मार दो, सजाए मौत दे दिया आपने, बंदा मर गया, क्राइम खत्म हो गया उस बंदे के साथ उसका। बट क्या ऐसे क्राइम खत्म हुए हैं? किस कंट्री में सजाए मौत के साथ क्राइम खत्म हुआ है?
crime खत्म हुआ है,
आई
yeah.
थिंक जो गवर्नमेंट के इश्यूज थे उनके ऊपर एक वेल थॉट पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए थी। ऑब्वियसली कोई गवर्नमेंट, कोई मुल्क भी नहीं चाहेगा कि वहां पे अनडॉक्यूमेंटेड लोग, डॉक्यूमेंट करो उनको। केस टू केस इतने केसेस हैं, जो बच्चे बड़े हो चुके हैं, जो बच्चे आगे शादी की एज में हैं, शादियां भी हो गई हैं, वो कहते हैं ना हम लैंग्वेज बोलते हैं, ना हमारा
Mm.
कोई अफगानिस्तान से मतलब कोई लिंक नहीं है, कोई रिश्तेदार नहीं है वहां पे। कुछ लोग पाकिस्तान आए, कुछ पाकिस्तान से आगे चले गए, जो पाकिस्तान गए हैं उन्होंने पाकिस्तान में अपना घर बना लिया हुआ है। अब वो लोग कहाँ, मतलब ये वही सिचुएशन है, हमारे बच्चे यहाँ पे पैदा, लाइक आई थिंक द बेस्ट वे टू फील दिस सिचुएशन इज कि हम यहाँ पे, हमारे बच्चे यहाँ पे पैदा हों, ऑल ऑफ सडन हमें कहा जाए वापस पाकिस्तान चले जाओ,
Yeah,
हम तो शायद चले जाएं, लेकिन जो
बच्चे वो तो
बच्चे हैं,
but
हाँ,
दे हैव नथिंग टू डू विद पाकिस्तान, उन्होंने बस एक नाम सुना है बचपन से। तो एक बड़ी टफ सिचुएशन है, जिसमें मेरे ख्याल से गवर्नमेंट ने बस अपने प्रॉब्लम्स को प्रायोरिटी रखा है। लोगों की प्रॉब्लम्स क्या होंगी, वो वहां पे जाके क्या करेंगे, उधर उधर जी ये तालिबान गवर्नमेंट है, उधर लोगों के अपने इश्यूज हैं। अब जो बच्चियां यहाँ पे पढ़ रही हैं, वो वहां पे क्या जाके घरों में बैठ जाएंगी। सो ये सारी चीजें, और आई थिंक ये चीज अगर शुरू से ही थोड़ी सी प्लान होती, डॉक्यूमेंट होती, जिस तरह से यूएसएड या बाकी आप बात करते हैं, उन्होंने किस मतलब वो फंडिंग करते आए हैं ना, आपको अभी आकर बंद कर दिया सारा। वो कैसे इसको मेजर करते थे कि जब आप डॉक्यूमेंटेड ही नहीं है, आपको पता ही नहीं आपके पास कितने लोग हैं।
hmm.
हम शुरू से गिनते आए ना को जी 8 लाख यहाँ पे था, 8 लाख से ज्यादा तो वापस जा चुके हैं।
Yes.
तो फिर जो अभी भी वहां पे रह गए हैं, वो लोग किस खाते में रहे हैं, वो किस काउंटिंग में रहे हैं, वो किस प्लानिंग में रहे हैं। तो आई थिंक बड़ी
I think
मिसमैनेज।
आई थिंक इसमें जो सबसे बड़ा मसला था ना वो एक तो ये कि खैर वो जिस तरह रेफ्यूजीज आए वो भी एक लाइक दैट होल प्रोसीजर वाज सो पेनफुल टू वॉच कि जब वो आ रहे थे आपके पास जो ऑयल के टैंक हैं उनके अंदर लोग आए भर के। और जो है दूसरा ये चीज थी कि मिसट्रस्ट इतना ज्यादा है ना कि अगर ये अभी राइट नाउ उनको डॉक्यूमेंट करना स्टार्ट करते हैं ना तो लोग अपने आप को रजिस्टर ही नहीं कर रहे थे। इट्स अ वेरी सिमिलर सिचुएशन जब इन लोगों को कहा कि अपने आप को जो है ना एज अ टैक्स पेयर रजिस्टर करने लग जाओ, तो लोगों को ये मसला नहीं था। मतलब हमारे यहाँ लोग इतना खैरात निकालते हैं बट वो टैक्स पे करने को तैयार नहीं थे। उन्होंने कहा गवर्नमेंट पीछे लग जाएगी हमारे कि हमारे पास असास है। इज द सेम थिंग विद द अफगान रेफ्यूजीज एज वेल कि अगर आप उनको बोलें like I've studied with so many of them and if I would ask them कि जी आप अपने आप को रजिस्टर क्यों नहीं करते, तो उनकी सीधी सी बात ये थी इन्हें पता चल जाएगा तो ये हमें वापस भेज देंगे। सो डेफिनेटली देयर वाज दैट मिसट्रस्ट और उस मिसट्रस्ट की वजह से प्रॉब्लम हुई। दूसरा ये कि ऑफ कोर्स एक तो इतना बड़ा बॉर्डर है, दूसरा ये कि चमन में तो कुछ ऐसी जगहें हैं कि जहां पर आधा घर जो है वो अफगानिस्तान में और आधा घर पाकिस्तान में। तो आपके बॉर्डर की सिचुएशन तो इस तरह से है। तो आई थिंक देयर नीड्स टू बी अ बेटर सोल्यूशन टू दिस, और वो यूएसएड वाली मनी बेटर यूज होनी चाहिए थी। देयर हैज टू बी पुट इन थिंग्स in some kind of reference there, but again it wasn't done. I think we'll keep an eye on this situation and we will have more information after 31st March.
yep.
Thank you so much, Ali and Tosif. It was lovely having both of you again.
Yeah.
So we will have another episode hopefully soon.